Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
8:07 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham. We're going to get into the NTSB and wanting to take away cell phones and cars coming up. But Roscoe Bartlett is on the phone, the congressman, Republican from the state of Maryland. Congressman, good morning. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you.
I have to ask you, you're like what, the only Republican statewide in Maryland these days?
No, there are two of us. Andy Harris.
Oh, that's
just
right.
reclaimed a seat from the Eastern Shore, so we are 2 out of 8 now.
Hanging in there.
How could I forget Congressman Harris? He's a good guy. He's been on the show many times before. All right, but here's what I want to know. Do Republicans even have a chance in the state of Maryland moving forward? We've had Bob Ehrlich on the phone a couple of times ago. He said, you know what? Maryland is what it is. It's a blue state. That's what they want. They want liberal policies, and that's what they're going to get for years to come. What do you think about that?
Well, we have two major metropolitan areas. We have Baltimore, and we have the Washington suburbs. And if you look across the national map at what's red and what's blue, you will see that the blue is concentrated in cities. So Maryland is probably going to be blue for a very long time.
Did redistricting hurt you, or is it going to be just a little bit of a thorny issue, for your reelection?
Oh, my, we have the most gerrymandered district in the country, not in terms of contorted boundaries, but in terms of political movement. We moved from an R plus 13, which is a strongly Republican seat, to a D plus 4, which is a moderately strong Democrat seat. It's the most gerrymandered seat in the country, I'm told.
And did I read somewhere that you're going to be representing parts of Western Maryland and the Eastern Shore or close to it?
No, not the Eastern Shore. Andy Harris has the Eastern Shore and clear over into Carroll County. I have all of Western Maryland, and half of my district now, the new district, is in Montgomery County.
In Montgomery County, okay.
And I don't mean this in any form as a way of being disrespectful to you, but you're 85 years old, and a lot of people at 85 would say, man, I tell you what, I just don't have the passion to go back, especially in the climate that we face on Capitol Hill. Why do you want to come back for another round?
Well, I should tell you what Ralph Hall said when they would ask him. He's 88, and he's going to run again. Say, why are you running again? He said, gee, it's really hard to find another job when you're 88.
But what is the passion that drives you to come back?
Well, the job is not finished yet. I've been a leader in Congress on two really important issues. One of them got a lot of press yesterday. A lot of people out there just don't understand EMP. Newt Gingrich has talked about it in his debates. It is a serious threat facing our country.
You're talking EMP, electromagnetic pulse, right?
Sir? Yes.
Explain what that is.
Well, there are two forms of EMP. One is from a nuclear detonation above the atmosphere. If you detonate it there, you always get an EMP. It could shut down our grid totally across the whole country. Another form of EMP, and this one is a certainty. It will happen. It's only when. That's a giant solar storm. The last really big one was the Carrington event in 1859. There was another quite big storm in 1921. We're really overdue for one. When it happens, FERC says that it will shut down our grid from 2 to 4 years and cost $1 to $2 trillion to repair. This is a very serious thing, and I've been concerned about this and the energy issue, and these are two major issues, and I just need to stay here till we see these through.
The House passed the payroll tax cut extension plan connected to the Keystone Pipeline in the House yesterday, kicking it over to the Senate. What is the scuttlebutt on what might happen? Is there any relenting in the Senate that's going to happen?
Well, I was reading the clips this morning on the way in, and, they're holding tight over there, and we're not going to have a shutdown. Nobody wants that. We'll do something at the last minute, maybe another short-term CR. We may be in here Christmas Eve doing something. We'll see.
All right, you brought up Newt Gingrich. You worked with him, obviously, the Contract of America. There are a lot of politicians, former politicians, and current members of Congress who, they're just not enthralled by Newt Gingrich, and they're not endorsing him, not speaking highly of him. Are you one of those people, or do you think Newt Gingrich is the guy for the Republicans right now and can actually be a very good president?
Well, Newt Gingrich is a very bright person. All you have to do is watch those debates to know that. Newt's been in my office a number of times. We collaborate on some issues, the EMP being one of those. Newt is very bright. He knows when he's made mistakes, and, he's not the same person now that he was 15, 18 years ago. It if Newt is anything, he's bright, and you see that. Another thing that recommends Newt to me is he has resisted attacking other Republicans. I hate it when you come down to the final vote at the end of the campaign, and the voters have only two choices: a rotten, stinking guy or a really rotten, stinking guy, and that's their choice. I just don't think voters want that. Do you?
No, I don't. I guess there's a point where you have to draw a distinction between the two. But why do you think so many members of Congress, former members of Congress, are lukewarm of endorsing Newt Gingrich?
Well, I guess they didn't like his management style at that time. But as I've noted, Newt is a very bright person, and he saw the deficiencies in his management style then, and I think it would be different now.
All right. You're also a member of the Tea Party caucus.
I am.
Michelle Bachmann is a member of the Tea Party caucus as well. Would you endorse her? Are you going to endorse anybody for the nomination? Okay. Before we let you go, I do want to ask you about this NTSB recommendation yesterday. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to have Deb Hersman on in a little bit. The NTSB is recommending that phone use be banned in cars. It goes for hands-free devices as well as texting. Do you think that is a good idea for the federal government to have that recommendation or to implement a policy like that?
It's going to be extremely difficult to implement in police. If you do it down below the sight line, how are people going to know you're doing it? This new technology has just revolutionized the way we communicate, and it's going to be very difficult to police that. I agree that this is a distraction. I'm sure that we have some accidents as a result of it. Hopefully most of them are fender benders and not serious, but it's a big problem, and I don't know that it can be policed.
All right. Congressman Bartlett, great to have you on. Best of luck in your reelection bid.
Thank you.